Welcome guys to another episode of Filmmaking Times Live. My name is Tom Antos, and today we got Lucas, but we also got another guest actually. Say hello guys.
Hi everyone.
Hello everyone.
So we got Clint D'Souza. You guys have been following the show. You'll probably recognize Clint because he's been already a few times on the show. And
yes,
the reason,
I'm an alumni.
Yeah, and the reason why we brought him is because he's, I think, sort of an expert at today's topic, which is film festivals and what are they, how should you go about submitting to it, should you submit to it, and all that stuff. And the reason why I kind of wanted to do this topic is because we've been getting questions regarding to film festivals, and it's not even just like lately, but like I mean, over the years as I've been doing the everything here on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. And my answer usually has been, especially over like the last, I think it's like the last 5-6 years, has been pretty much always telling people that it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just you're gonna spend too much time, too much money, all that stuff. And the reason is because me and Lucas, like when we started our career in the film industry, and kind of doing our own first like these independent kind of films, small low budget kind of short films, but even with our feature film when we did it back in 2004 it is, we had mixed results with film festivals, and in the end I guess we kind of just, I don't know, Lucas, what was it, why did we kind of stop submitting to film festivals?
I think it was because we felt like our films were not good fit for most festivals, especially those big ones where that might make a difference in your career. Mm-hmm. So I think that was a big thing, and also I guess we wanted to spend more time on making movies. Like it can be time consuming to prepare to do all these submissions. Now it's easier nowadays because of different services, but back in the days there was still some paper forms to send, that you would need to mail and so on. And kind of like once online, publishing online your content became a really like viable option, we kind of got excited about the idea of let's just focus on producing the content and getting out to people and just getting that feedback really quickly. I think that was a big thing, because it's just when you have something you work on a long time and you are passionate about it, you want to share it, right? You don't want to like just keep it and wait for the response from the festivals. Then you have to wait for the actual screening dates and so on, right? Like it's such amazing experience if you can right away share it with people, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they like it. So I think that was another. It was a few like different things, but we kind of got really excited about just publishing online. Those are like the main things that I would say were the reasons why we kind of shifted away from going to film festivals.
And I mean, we also were, I think that was at the time, like when we stopped kind of, I guess, participating in it, that was at the time when I guess things were changing also a lot in the industry, right? Because I remember it was the first time, I remember the first few films when we submitted, you couldn't still submit like digitally, whereas then I remember like Without a Box came about, and you could start like those some festivals where you could actually submit online versus which made it a lot easier, quicker, and just cheaper, because otherwise before you had to get like a Betacam transfer, which was that in itself was a pain and expensive. So for a lot of like these small budget projects, it just didn't make sense to do it for us, I think, financially. And it was just like I think the process was not as, it seems like now I think it's quicker, right? But it's when was the last time we submitted to a film festival? I don't remember. Do you know exactly?
I think it was a few years ago, with I don't know, 3-4 years ago, or maybe 5 now. It's been a while.
Uh-huh. Now, Clint, we brought you in because you've been very active. Like you kind of been, I would say, the last 2 years you've really picked up as a filmmaker. You've really started doing a lot of like interesting work, and I started working with you because of that. And a lot of the films where I shot them, I was a cinematographer on them with you. I was very surprised that you actually, first that you even bothered going to festivals, because I remember I was thinking, well, why bother? But then you went and you actually had quite a bit of success and all that stuff. So I'm sure there's a ton you've learned over the last few years as you've been doing this. But maybe let's start off with my question number one. I would say to you, which is, is it even worth it submitting to film festivals these days? And if so, what are like the benefits of submitting your film to a film festival versus just releasing it, and letting it go wild on the internet?
Well, that really comes down to what your goals are and what kind of movie you're bringing to the festival.
Okay.
If you bring a feature film, the chances are you're looking for distribution, because nowadays all the festivals I've been attending, there's been a lot of distributors, producers, and I met people there who sold their films to different distributors and producers. So in that sense, the festivals are good because you can get a market. But if you bring a short movie, the chances are distributors are not that interested.
Oh,
so
okay.
I mean, there are a few that do buy
films,
short.
So sorry, but your films that you've been submitting have all been short films, right?
Yeah, because I had a different goal in mind. Because my goal was to network and make good contacts in the industry. I've been watching some great films there and some great producers. As a matter of fact, the last festival was, I would say, is a big success for me because I met someone who's living the dream right now. He's been struggling all along, and finally he made it into the Hollywood. He's going to direct his first movie with big stars, and then just talking to him and him showing me everything, like how he got there, and then teaching me like the business side of it, and the investor side of it, how to approach investors.
Can you tell us who that is?
Yeah, his name is Nicholas Genie. If you look him up, he's worked with quite a bit of actors in Hollywood. Most recently, like a lot of the B stars. But now he's finally working with the A-star people. I don't think I can mention the names yet because it's happening soon. So, but. Yeah, Nicholas Genie. He shared quite a bit of good insight. So stuff that you don't normally hear, something that's hard. Like if he didn't teach me all the stuff he told me, it would probably take me another 2-3 years before I even figured out how to even get into Hollywood or something, right? But he kind of laid a plan in front of me, like almost like, all right, this is like the stepping stones there. So I'm like, so for me that was bigger than winning any award at the festival. Because that was because that's my goal. That was my dream, right? I want to end up in Hollywood, and now I know someone who's actually been through the struggle, and now who's going to be in there making his first movie. So that was pretty useful.
So so I guess the way you answered my second part of the question, which was are there any benefits to submitting to the film festival? And you're saying even with a short film, even if you're not looking for distribution, it's just networking, right? You can meet some people that are going to be really. I guess, just like you said, they can give you advice, or maybe people you can work with.
Yeah, and it's also making good connections with distributors, because you can have them come watch your movie, and if they like you and they like your movie, they'll keep an eye out for you. So when you do have a feature, you can approach them directly. So even if you have a short film, it's actually good because you get to meet these connections.
Mm-hmm. All right, good. All right, so how many films do how many films you normally film festivals? I mean, you normally submit to, like when you have let's just say you or just talking about like giving advice to other filmmakers. You just finished a short film, let's say, right? Short film or feature film, but I guess in this case we'll talk more about short films since you have more experience with that. You finish a short film, you're all excited, and you're convinced that, like I said, that there's a benefit there to join, to submitting to film festivals. How many should you submit to? Because I mean, with each submission, at least like again, last time I submitted, you had to pay for that, so it can quickly add up the cost, right?
Yeah, it can get pricey. You got to be careful now, because when you submit to festivals, there are 3 types of festivals. Obviously, everyone's goal is to get into the tier 1 festival, like the A-level festivals, like your Cannes, your TIFF, your Tribeca, your Slam Dance, Sundance. Like if you get into that, that's you made it basically, right? That's the goal. But most of the people fall shy of that, so they end up being in B festivals. Okay. Now B festivals are not bad. They're divided into 2. I would say there's the B plus and the B minus. The B plus is almost similar to the A plus festivals, with the exception, obviously, these are the movies that didn't make it, and now you can get to see like all these potential movies that could make it. Like future possible Slam Dance winners or Cannes winners, and you'll have a lot of distribution there. So these are your festivals, and then the B minus is a bit tricky, but you got to be careful of these festivals. They look very similar to the B plus. They have screenings, they have events, they have all that stuff, red carpet, and also the award nights. But The key difference is they let everyone in. Sometimes because sometimes I've been to festivals, I thought they were B plus, and then because they had the appearance of a B plus, but then when I see the submission and the quality of films that are there, I'm like, wait a minute, how did this get in here? Because you could clearly tell there's one movie that's super well done, great script, great story, and it's competing with another movie which like someone didn't even put any thought into it. It was like some YouTube 5-minute skit. I'm like, wait a minute, there's something off here, right? So you got to be careful of these kind of festivals. My advice to people looking for festivals is check them out online, especially if they're not the first year.
But
see their past.
So how would you know then which is an A festival and which is a B and which one's a C? Like
well, the A ones are the ones everyone talks about. It's all the big name ones. The ones, chances are the ones you don't get into. So like Cannes, TIFF, Tribeca, Slam Dance, all those ones are the big ones that people aspire to be.
So like
the
basically
B ones,
where like a lot of celebs, I guess, go there. And all that
yes,
stuff.
yes, those are the big ones. That's when you make it. The B plus ones are, well, you got to do a bit of research. When you use without a box or film freeway, it usually tells you if they have a live screening, if they have an award gala, and all that stuff. So those usually tend to fall into the B festivals. But to distinguish between the B plus, the good, versus the B minus, which is only like a money grab, you got to check their website and see their past winners. If you see the past winners and you notice that all of them are quality submissions, quality winners, then yeah, those are good ones. But if you notice suddenly that, wait a minute, how did this thing win? How did this thing win? Because it looks nothing,
Oh, okay. So
like,
you know they're accepting.
Then you know it's one of those cash grab film festivals.
So type C film festivals would be what? Just cash
type
grab?
C are the ones don't even have online screening. It's just they don't even have any screening. It's just an online festival only. There is no benefit to that. Like unless you just want some models and then you want to show off to your friends. But anyone in the industry will know that those are worth nothing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
But what about, like, for example, short of the week? I mean, it's kind of
depends. No. Like certain things have weight, like the Vimeo stuff pick and all that. Those are not exactly festivals, but they have weight to it, right? So those are like good ones. But I'm talking about like festivals that no one has heard of, and I guess it's just an online screening, an online. I don't know. I don't put too much stock into it. There might be some good ones. I'm not saying that all of them are bad, but in my experience, I think it's worth going in person. Because to meet producers, distributors, other filmmakers. Another thing to be aware of is the B festivals. If it's the B minus ones, are if they charge you a submission fee for each category, meaning best actor, you have to submit a film, best director, you have to submit and then it adds up because each submission is like $20. So imagine you're doing best actor, best actress, best editor, best director. That thing be super expensive. Then it's just a cash grab business. I won't even bother. Because all the good ones, the B plus, it's just one submission fee, and they'll watch your movie, and depending on whether you have a good actor or if you're a good director or a good sound editor, they will give you the nomination for that. So
it makes sense. It's funny because I thought that's how all film festivals are. Because last time I submitted, that's how it was. But wow, I didn't know that.
Okay, here a couple of questions actually. Hold on. Yeah, I wanted to jump in with a question. From Trevor Pinnicky. Are there relevant festivals which are hosted by content creators, by filmmakers, or the art community? I mean, in terms of the two festivals that are big and they're really they're run by art communities in New York and San Francisco are like the New York Film Festival. Then I think the other one is just called San Francisco Film Festival, maybe International Film Festival, and they're both both supported and run by the art community there. I think they call it whatever it's called, institute or something. But it's a organization that has a lot of different things happening in the art world in both of these in both of these cities, and they also support these film festivals. Right, that's part of what they do. That's not just the whole thing that they do. So those are if you want to get those festivals have very high esteem among film critics and people who are, I guess, accomplished in the arts, not just necessarily films, but they're well respected. So those are two festivals I'm familiar with. But actually, we've got a follow-up question, but I'll let you, maybe Clint, answer.
I think festivals that promote the filmmaker and bring their work to the light, I think those are good, because the one hard thing is as a filmmaker, any filmmaker, is getting your work noticed, right? So if these festivals hosted by art communities and all, they bring a spotlight to your work, and then it shows the community what you're capable of. And I think that's pretty good. And yeah, I support that.
Okay, well, one thing is, I think most, as long as you avoid these money grab festivals,
so
people behind them are people who are filmmakers or artists, and those are the people who run the festivals, right? Maybe when you have a festival like Cannes Film Festival or Toronto Film Festival, there's like also a big business side to it that comes into play. Which films get, maybe for Cannes, like they pick certain films because of the stars they're going to bring to the red carpet. So you get that too. So I guess if you want really, Trevor, if you want really a festival that's more, it's more like, feels more like an authentic, filmmakers film festival, then maybe, those biggest festivals are not the ones there. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I think for the most part, the people who are passionate about movies run film festivals, because I mean, it's hard, it's tough. I know we have spoken to people who have created their own film festivals, and it's a lot of work, and it's you have to be passionate about it to run a film festival.
Yeah. Hey, so Clint, actually, let me ask you a question then. Is there quickly, like, could you give out a list of or not even a list, so just mention a few of these film festivals that you think are worth submitting to? For obviously not for somebody who's big in Hollywood and stuff, because that's a completely different game. But somebody who's like a first-time filmmaker, like like when you started a few years ago, when you just have your one or two short films, and you just were like, okay, I want to go in there, I want to start showing my work, maybe meet some people in the industry. What would you say are like the 2 or 3 like festivals that you can highly recommend?
Well, that's a tricky question, because the B+, there's so many. I would actually go by region. So depending where you are, find something local. Start local, I would say, because the one thing with film festivals is the travel cost, and people don't account the travel costs, the accommodations. That can get pricey, right? So you want to start with what's in your region, what's in your local area.
But let's say somebody who's lives in the middle of nowhere, as they say, and he literally, there's nothing happening around there, So
then I would say pick the closest biggest city to near you, and then look up these festivals. I just go to, for me, the way I do it, I just go to Film Freeway or Without a Box. I look at what festivals are coming up. I make sure that they have a live screening and all that. It's a bit of work, because then I have to go to the website of each festival, check out their past submissions, their winners, see what people say about this festival, and if I like it, then I apply to these festivals.
There's a question actually from Sean Thompson. Where does the Bermuda Film Festival fall on the list? Do you know of that one? Are you aware of it?
I am not familiar with that.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
Oh, yeah?
I've heard of it. I think it's it's one of the festivals I considered. I looked at whenever we were submitting. So I'm not sure. We might have submitted once. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's unless I'm mistaken. Sometimes you have X Film Festival, and there's then X International Film Festival. It's from the same city. Sometimes it's just confusing. So I'm not 100% sure whether but I know in Bermuda there's a very, very good film festival that you should consider. But all the same time, things change a lot, and so on. One question here for Clint. So it sounded like when you pick festival, it's not like you have like your top 5 and that's where you go, but also the big part of it is timing of festivals is also a big thing. Like when your film is ready, so which would mean that you usually have like a time period that you don't want to spend the whole year maybe on a festival, because then you could, if you go for 4 years, then you can pretty much go to any festival you want. But I guess it sounds like you usually go for less than a year before moving on to the next phase of the film, with the film. Is that correct?
In a way, it is. So I always make sure I have something else going on. So when I have a festival that's in a festival run, one of the criteria for most festivals is your movie can't be online or anything. So I make sure that's taken off the market so no one can see it. And while in that, and usually the festivals I submit to are early. So I get the early bird special rates. I don't pay the ridiculous prices, of the late entries. So the only drawback of the early festival is that you got to wait a long time before the actual festival happens. So that usually takes about a year.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but in that 1 year, I'm working on new videos, and I'm putting those up. So there is no gap. As long as you're busy, it works out fine.
So, so for example, like if going back to my I guess original question, So how many, like you have a short film, how many film festivals you think, would you say is good advice for other filmmakers? How many film festivals they should aim to submit to, and how much should they expect to spend in total for all those submissions?
Again, it comes down to your goal. What is your goal? If you just want to meet filmmakers and all, also what is your budget? Because that's another thing. Because you got to make into account that for me, I try to do at least I try to keep it at least $300 or around $300 when it comes to submissions. So I try to submit as many as I can within that budget.
Oh, okay.
I also try to submit to places like new places I've not been to, because that way it turns out into a bit of a vacation as well.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's why, last year I went to Madrid, I went to Berlin, I went to a bunch of different places, LA, Vegas, and this year I went to Nice, and I'm not sure what's coming up, but that's what I try to do. So I try to see new places, meet new people. And as long as it fits within the budget, yeah. So, but you have to do your research. Make sure you are submitting to the B plus festivals, not B minus.
So with that $300 budget, let's see, for you, on average, how many film festivals does that equal to?
So if I do the early bird submission, and they're usually around 20 or maybe $20 average because of the early bird, I can probably get, I don't know, do the math. So it's like more than 10,
yeah,
something around 10. So some of them are a bit expensive. If they're the sometimes it might be 40, but if you're late, it's usually bad. It's like 85, 90, 70. It's too expensive, I think. Unless it's like a really good festival and you want to get into it, then. But I would probably keep it for next year. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry, so I want to go back to the point where wondering how long, it's a good time, length of time to do the. For the film festival run, and I guess like here was a comment here. I want to give the credit to the right person, K. Bronson, who's saying that there is a time limit that you cannot basically dig up an old movie and put it in a festival. That's the policy with most festivals. Like the film has to be current, from the last year, like within the last year. So I guess it's sort of like that's the natural, lifespan for a film in a film festival is up to a year, and you sort of like try to just max out that time period, right?
I think depending, there's different criteria for different festivals. Yeah. Some of them, yes, I think most of them are like they want something recent because they don't want repeat submissions every year. So I think within the year or so, there's a leeway. I think year and maybe 6 months. So between like that, you can they accept into your they will accept your movie.
Okay, so what do you like? What do you do then with films once once they're done with the festivals?
Once you're done with the
sorry.
Well, it really depends what your goal was. If your goal was to get distribution and you got a distributor, then that's good for you, right? If you fail to get a distributor, then you can try to do stuff online like Amazon Prime, those kind of services. Or YouTube, and there's always YouTube, but you won't make any money off YouTube unless you have like 1 million followers or something. But there's always a self-distribution you could do online. Those could be some options. But again, it's going to be hard because if no one knows you and your movie is one of millions on the online platform, you have to do like a lot of marketing to push people to watch your movie. Or if you just want to be known, you just put it on YouTube and people recognize you and hire you for bigger stuff.
So here there's a question from Jorge Salinas. He was asking about like good places to publish films on the internet. So to add to what you already mentioned, I guess Short of the Week is a good one, and Vimeo. Stuff Big was a good one. Do you guys can you guys think of any other?
I would say this. I would say this. Go to what do you call it? Go to any like YouTube channels, that have, or even blogs like No Film School and stuff like that. Obviously, but I would say even our YouTube channel, we show submissions, which we're gonna get to some submissions later on at the show. So we already have some audience. There's other YouTube channels that have an even bigger audience that are specifically like aimed at filmmakers or people who do comedy, for example. There's some YouTube channels that might not be like filmmaking channels per se, but they might just be like, let's say there's one question I know about like where do I submit thrillers or kind of mystery kind of or horror type of films, because they don't seem to get recognized at film festivals. And I would say, well, first there are some festivals that do recognize them, but you can find these niche kind of websites or YouTube channels that's all they do, and they already have a big audience, and they've spent years building that audience. So you should approach these websites and these YouTube channels, approach them and let them know, hey, I made this film, I think it's a really good quality film, and your audience would love it. And then just send them an email, and just hope basically, and do it in the best way possible. Obviously, you don't want to write this long email and or spam people, but you that's what you kind of want to do. You want to reach out to these people that already have, or these websites and stuff that already have an audience, because you'd be surprised by showing your work there on that website or on that YouTube channel. You can get a lot of recognition, and it might help you build your audience for your next film in the future. But also, yeah, you might then. Basically, it might help you get a lot of other people who are in the industry noticing your work over there. So that's where I would say that's probably where you want to submit outside of just film festivals, right?
And to piggyback off what you just said, there are some festivals that specialize in certain genres. Like in Toronto, I know there's one that does horror called Blood in the Snow Festival.
Yeah.
And the good thing about that festival is, regardless if it's a short or a feature, they put up releases, like they put it on Blu-ray collections of of their top horror shots and all, so that way you can get some sort of distribution. So it's good to know what kind of film you want to make, and then try to go to these specialized film festivals that specialize in that, because chances are you will meet people like distributors or producers in that genre, right? That will make your movie more successful.
Yeah.
Right. Can you mention any?
Sorry, I wanted to also kind of touch back at the topic. So, your films, Clint, like for example the one that we're showing right now, Actors Life. You did kind of different genres, right? I remember the first film we collaborated on. It was like a drama, right?
For me, I was experimenting different genres and trying to find my strong point, because when I go the last 2 years, I'm relatively new. I'm still trying to develop my signature, trying to figure out what my strengths are. So that's what I was doing. I was just experimenting with different movies, taking them to festivals, getting the audience reaction back, feedback. So, and I'm starting to finally settle into what I think is my strengths. Mm-hmm. Because over the next 3 years, I'm working on like a couple of features, because now my shorts are going to come to an end, and now my features will start.
Oh, okay. Keep me in,
of course, obviously.
In the loop. But yeah, so like for example, the film we're showing right now, Actors Live. I gotta tell you guys, for me, I was. By the way, if you want to see any of like Clint's work and like a lot of the films that he's done that he had a lot of success with at the film festivals, you can just go check out his YouTube channel. With the link is provided in the description, and you can watch this one, Actors Live, and some of the other short films that he's done in full length over there. But like for example, I know that with Actors Live, I wanted to work with it because it was just a cool script you did. But I remember you were asking me at the beginning, like, oh, which film festival should I submit to and stuff, and I kind of just told you I don't know much about it, and I don't think that this is the kind of film from festivals, because I also had this assumption that this is kind of like a kind of a twisted, kind of, I would say, darker comedy, but it's a comedy. And from my experience, there's not that many. There are some festivals that will specialize in comedies, but doesn't seem like there's that many. Would you say that that has changed a lot? I mean, since you kind of started going around, because you had quite a bit of success with. I think you won several awards, right? For
Actors Life was by far the most successful film I've done. I'm losing track of the amount of nominations we got. I know we got at least 10, 11, 12 nominations. At least picked up 3, 4, 5, at least that many wins. And I think it's because from what people saw this, they didn't expect any of this. It was something very different. It was something very fresh. It was. I don't think anyone has touched that kind of topic. Mm-hmm. So that's why it probably had a lot of success. It was something fresh, something new. And it was like you said, it was like a dark comedy, something a little different, right? Because nowadays I see people are more accepting of these dark type of films, and maybe I was just at the right place, right time kind of guy, like the movie.
But there were then, you're saying, a lot of places, a lot of festivals that are still good festivals, and that were interested in this kind of stuff, right?
Yes. There's always going to be interest in the genre you make. You just have to find it, right? Sometimes it might be a niche. Sometimes it's one of the popular ones where most of the festivals accept, right? Mm-hmm. It all comes down to kind of genre you want to do.
Yeah, because I mean, I'll tell you guys also from my experience back in the day. I guess part of the reason also why I kind of just yeah, I got tired of submitting to film festivals too is because there were a few kind of niche film festivals that I were like, let's say aiming at, let's say, horror films or comedies and stuff. But a lot of them, and I'm talking about like this was like 15 years ago or before that. A lot of them were not interested in films that were comedies, horrors, like action films. It was all about these very serious dramas and or these really experimental kind of artsy films that are the kind of films that I know some people enjoy it, but to me it was like a lot of times I was like I wanted to put a bullet to my head when I was sitting through some of these screenings because it was just so out there and so weird and so experimental that I think for an average viewer, average audience, it was not a film that was enjoyable. And I remember like for me that's kind of why I slowly was like, well, I don't really want to go to these festivals, and that was also a big thing that I think. On my part, I kind of, at that point, maybe it was, it was a right decision, but now I think it will be a mistake because I kind of came from my realization and of attending all these film festivals and stuff. Yes, some of them were great for networking and all that stuff and helping you get your film distributed, but a lot of it was you meeting these people that are so out there, so artsy, so experimental. You're kind of seeing that they're most likely never going to be successful in a commercial world of filmmaking. And also, it's just because for me, it wasn't interesting actually going to the actual film festivals. So I ended up having my films accepted to all these film festivals, and I just didn't bother going there. And I would say, because you, Clint, you go to pretty much all the festivals, right? That you get accepted to, and maybe that's that's actually my next question: is it worth it? Do you think it's like I said, it's worth to actually go? Like once you submit and you get into a film festival. Would you tell, to other filmmakers advise you should go, or maybe you should save your money because, obviously then it's added cost of flights and all that stuff?
Well, for me, I kind of learned it the hard way because when I first started submitting, I didn't know much. So in the beginning, I would kind of regret going to some of them. I'm like, oh man, this is like a waste of a lot of money. But as I grew smarter and wiser, I started picking doing select few festivals, the good ones, which I felt were good. And then if I get submitted, then I would make it and I would go. For me, it served two purposes because I always wanted to get away, so it was like a vacation one, and then two, I get all these new contacts because it actually worked out. Because the last few festivals, I've met some great contacts, like people even in Toronto, I met in festivals abroad, and then we've since come back and worked together on stuff, and we did some pretty good stuff. So for me, the last few have been pretty worthwhile because I knew what I wanted, and I got that out of it. So. It really comes down to you should have a game plan of what you want from these festivals. Yeah, so that's what it comes down to.
All right, so but you're saying it's not necessary then to.
No, it's not. It's not necessary. Again, it's not really what you want to do. If you have a feature film, the chances are, yes, you probably want to go to a festival, like the B+ festivals at the least, nothing below that, because I've met people there who've got distribution right there at the festival itself. So, yes, if you have a feature film, for sure, I would say go. If you have a short movie, if you're looking for distribution, then I would say probably don't go because chances are very, very low for that happening. Okay. But if you're just looking to network, meet more people, collaborate with more people, and or maybe make contacts for future distributors when you plan to make a feature film or something, then okay, you could probably go for a few. But I wouldn't spend a lot of money and go to all the festivals if you just have a shot. That's why I only do like a select few in a year now, as opposed to like when I first started, I was trying to go to everything, which was a mistake.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions, Lucas?
So there's no short way to basically know. Is there like resource online where you can say, okay, I have a comedy, and these are like good festivals to go to with a comedy. Is there anything like that, or really you have to just dig into it and actually look what are the films that they selected in previous years and so on?
Yeah, that's actually a tough one because I have been looking for something that lets you. But I haven't come across any service that does that. So what I normally do is if I go to Without a Box or Film Freeway, I try to type in the keywords like comedy or horror, and then I check mark like live screening and all that stuff so I can get like the good festivals I think that are good. And then I get a list of all these festivals, and then I have to do a research on each one. So yeah, it's a long process. I haven't found any site that does it, but if anyone in the chat knows, send me a message.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like it's something to work. There is like a need for people to get this kind of information. Doesn't seem like there is. It's still not an easy process to find the right festival for your film, right? Sounds like it.
Now, there's actually a question like that I have. Maybe, well, part of it I'll kind of maybe explain kind of what I'll answer the question myself based on my experience, but I want to know what you think, Clint. When you're attending, when you decided that you're going to attend the film festival, right? Is there kind of a strategy or something that that or things that you should do to prepare before you go there to a film festival? And I'll tell you, the reason why I'm asking is because I remember like back in the day, like 20 years ago, my first film submission. When I went to a film festival, my assumption was that, okay, wow, I got into a film festival and they do everything. I just show up and they roll out the red carpet. The film is gonna be on the screen. Everybody will come and everybody will want to talk to me, all that stuff. And then the reality hit me in the face, and it was basically nobody cares about your film. Even once you get to, especially when you get to like a bigger, more successful film festival, because there's so many films out there and so many great films. With some films have celebrities in them, that you have this little film that got in there, great, but most people will not care about it. And I remember like I had my first ever screening in film festivals. Very few people were there. And so after that, that's kind of after talking to other filmmakers and stuff, I realized that you have to kind of do your own marketing. So you get a film festival, you spend the money for the submission, spend the money for travel, and then I still remember like with our feature film, once we got into we had a premiere at the Montreal World International Film Festival, and it's a fair size nice film festival, and I remember I kind of knew already that despite that, we're going to have to work hard to promoting it. So we ended up spending money on posters, on like little cards, the little cue cards that we would walk around with it at film festivals, walk around through the streets of Montreal. I remember we had T-shirts that said name of the film and then the day and then the cinema where the screening is, and trying to invite people to get an audience and fill the theater with people, because there's no point in having a film festival, your film at a festival if nobody's there to see it. And so that was a lot of work, and again, more money spent and time, which I kind of, I've been always giving that as advice to other filmmakers. But what would you say? Is that still the same these days, or or is there some other things you worry about or prepare? Clint? Oh, did we lose him? Okay, I believe we lost Clint. All right, so hopefully Clint will come back.
Hello.
Oh, okay, there you are. All right, okay. we thought we lost you. All right.
So in my experience, it's like a split. I have seen festivals that, like you described, you have to self-market your film. Those are the festivals I'm not very happy about, because the thing is, they have multiple rooms or screenings happening at the same time, so you're always competing with other people's screenings. Sometimes you have to go self-market. So what they advise is, you make these kind of postcards, which you advertise, your movie, the screening dates, and then you hand it out and talk to people. Hopefully they come. And there are festivals that don't compete, so they already have blocks of different films showing up. So that's a good thing, because now you're not competing with someone else's movie, so you can watch everyone's movies. I like those kind of festivals. So they do a better job of marketing when there's no competition, when you don't have to self-market. But yeah, some of the things people for the first time going to festivals you should do is always carry some sort of like business card. You never know who you meet or who you run into. So I've seen some creative people who, this is kind of big, but it's a bit smaller than this, a little bigger than the business card, a bit smaller than the postcard, and it has dual information. On one side, it's the movie and the screening and all that stuff, and on the other side is a contact information, all that stuff. So having that, I think, is pretty cool. So you should do that. And I guess have fun at the festival. Just make sure you talk to people. I see people who go there, they don't even talk to anyone. So I'm like, what's the point of even coming to a festival? Don't be afraid.
It's hard, though, right? It's exactly, if you're shy, it's hard, right?
I know, but you remember, they're all in the same boat, so you just go and just talk to them, and you'll make some great friends, some great connections. You'll never know. That's the one thing I do. For me, my main goal in the festival is not to get like a packed house and screening. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have a packed house, but I'm making sure I make all these right connections. People who I can work with down the line, people who can help me. Like I mentioned Nicholas Genie, who helped me. So that's it.
Probably when talking to other people, it helps when you take interest in other people's work. So because then it's like more natural conversation, right? Rather than
it's good to see other people's work too. Because let's say you watch something, you're like, oh man, I like the way he shot this. I like the way he did this. Then you feel like you have some sort of connection, and then you want to go and collaborate and make something together. Like I've done that with people. I've seen their work. I'm like, wow, this is something I've trying to do, but I don't know. So it's great. It's great to meet these filmmakers, figure out their thought process, how they did it. And then it's just a learning experience. You learn quite a bit watching other people's films too.
I think sometimes people get into these like social situations, let's say film festivals, and there are other people in the room that maybe are way above or much above in their standing is above yours. For example, in the film industry, and you might you as a beginning filmmaker, you're like thinking how to approach that person, so you get your break, right? But anyway, it's better just like talk to people who are also in the same boat. And just like share your experiences, and if you've seen their work, then it's easy to chat because you have something to talk about. And then sometimes, let's say you're not confident enough to go up and pitch to somebody who's established. Sometimes to somebody else, one of those other filmmakers who are starting out with you, maybe they'll introduce you because maybe they're more sociable or whatever, or they just have met more people and they might introduce you to that very important person. So it's worth to just be natural, I guess, and talk to anybody.
And I know you should always ask yourself, what have you got to lose? You have literally nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Except your dignity. Come on, Clint.
What?
Your dignity.
Okay, come on.
No,
I mean, I have the personality for sure. Now I'm with age, and the kind of more confident. But early, in my when I was 20, I would be kind of. I was shy. I would be very. I would think about it. Yeah, I know you don't have much to lose, but at the same time, it's for most people or many people, you kind of not feel like if it doesn't feel natural, if it feels forced.
But see, look, if you're in this industry and then if you can't get over this fear, how are you going to talk to investors? How are you going to talk to all these people to back your movie? Your best part is getting practice with, this is the regular filmmakers you meet. Once you get confident speaking to them, then at least when you actually meet investors and, producers, you won't, freeze on the spot. You'll be a bit more, what's the word I'm saying? You'll be a bit more...
experience season.
It'd be a big experience.
Well, I guess that just comes down to just people skills, right? I mean,
So that's the thing.
I used to be super shy. Yeah, I used to be super shy, and some people don't believe it, and I still am. And actually, I get a lot of flustered when you use different situations. But I guess I've also Lucas says, I just after so many years on Earth, I kind of just go whatever. I just don't care anymore what people think of me. But that's kind of like I said, you have to get comfortable, and doesn't matter whether you're shy or not. You have to get over it because that's otherwise you're going to be hindered in a lot of things. All right, I have this thing here, which is it's not my leftover breakfast. It's actually a bunch of names, and these are the names that are from the submission for this week's giveaway. So those of you guys who don't know, we're doing what, Lucas?
A gear giveaway. Thanks to B&H, we're calling it the gear tip line. And every week we are giving away a piece of gear, and here it's the first week, so you can win gear up to $500 that you get to choose from over 4,000 different items on B&H.
And it's easy to enter, right? There's no film submit, nothing. It's just literally the people have to pretty much leave a comment, right?
Leave a comment comment and then just fill out this form, so I know that they want to be included in the giveaway, right?
Yeah. So this is the page on our website where you go, and the link for that is in the description of the video as usual. So you guys can, if you didn't enter for this week, enter for next week, so you have a chance of winning some cool gear from B&H. Which, by the way, you can tell us which piece of gear you want. So so let's before the end of the show, I want to make sure that we draw the winner. So basically, again, for now we might come up with a more high-tech way of doing this, but for now we just printed out a whole bunch of these submissions here, or all of the submissions, up here, so people's names we have, and I'll just randomly pick them. If you guys have a better way or idea, suggestion, let us know how we can do this. That's more entertaining. I wish I had those, those game shows. They have those giant wheels where you just spin them. and it just like randomly stops. But we don't have that. Our budget doesn't allow it.
Just buy a bingo box next time.
All right, maybe we'll do that. Yeah. So yeah, so here is here's the submissions, and let me try it. So I'm not looking. I'm gonna look away, and pick one winner, right, Lucas?
One person, yeah, for sure.
It's one per week. Okay. So again,
come on, Clint.
Mix it up. Why are you? Did you enter, Clint?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say what?
That would be awkward if you want this week. That would be really awkward.
All right, I picked the name. I don't know what it is. Let me see here. It says Joe Manning here, just to show you guys. Joe Manning. That's where it is. So Joe Manning, congratulations! You won. How much, Lucas? Did you win?
It's he can pick a prize worth up to $500.
Okay, so I'm guessing you're gonna take care of all that, right? You'll get in touch with Joe Manning then, and
yeah, I'll send an email, Joe, and then yeah, we'll connect you with the folks at B&H, and they'll deliver the prize for you. You know, yeah, we'll go from there. You can start looking at the prizes.
Yeah, pick something. And those of you guys who again didn't win this week, you're automatically entered for the next 3 weeks.
Next 3 weeks. So the next 2 weeks we're going to be still drawing. The last week, the 4th week, we are going to just pick on our own, like our favorite comment. The only thing is the value of the prizes goes down, you know, every week, and then because we have like a $1,000 of gear that we can give away in a month. Then after 4 weeks we restart, and again we'll go back to the $500 prize. Yeah.
So but yeah, if you guys want a chance, just every week just submit, just enter the contest. So easy. It takes just a minute. Just submit your name, all that stuff, leave a comment, and that's pretty much it. For all the details, follow the link in the description. Lucas, you want to take it away? Show us about the fountain.
Just wanted to put the name of the winner.
Oh, okay.
Can you do it? Put the name of the winner in the chat here while
on YouTube. Okay, I will. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and the way that is here. Share screen. Yeah. Can people see me now?
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yep.
Okay. All right. So here's just a little tool that I found for screenwriting, because again, usually I've been using Final Draft to write scripts, but then there's started to look around. We had a conversation on one weekend on one Sunday about different options for screenwriting. One was Celtics. People, so I tried that, and basically I was looking for something that I could use on my Chromebook, or I could use also when I don't have internet connection, and just started to look at what are the options there, and especially what are the free options, right? And then I just came across this thing called Fountain. Now, it's not really an app, or it's not a piece of software. It's actually just it's rules of writing scripts, right, in terms of how you format it. And then it's very simple, but it's the way you write. There are very few rules you have to keep in mind. It feels very natural to write it, but the great thing about it is there's a few different good things about it, but the main thing is portability. So basically, you can write your script and using the Fountain rules, and then you can and then you'll be able to switch. You'll be able to use that software that script in any program. For example, here I still so here this is the homepage for Fountain. And yeah, so again, it's not an app, but there are various apps, text editors that support it. It's really like a text file, so you can really open it with anything. But here are the rules. So again, there's like 5 main rules, and they're very natural in terms of how you write. That you start the scene heading with an int or X. You capitalize the names, character names. And so on. There are very obvious natural ways few ways to do it, to write the script in the Fountain format, and they feel natural. It's best probably I'll show you just an example. For example, here it's the script Big Fish, written by John August, and and basically you can open this up in you know, in a Chrome, in anything, right? For example, in my browser, and now to read it, it's kind of, it's different, and it's not maybe the easiest thing to read it this way, especially like I think what might bug people is that the dialogue, it's not centered, right? Maybe it doesn't stand out from the rest of it. But I'll get to it, like why that actually might be good too. But anyway, this is sort of like, you can see, this is how script written in Fountain looks. And so the writer of of this script, John August, he actually is the creator or co-creator of Fountain, and he basically was looking also for a way to just make it simple for people to write. So like basically, you know, his recommendation to writers is like, you know, spend as much time sitting in front of your computer and just writing, because that's how you produce good content. I want to like minimize everything else that I guess writers do have to, you know, or used to have to worry about in terms of like, you know, so basically, he's just he wanted to find something that where you focus on writing, not so much on what tools you use to write it with, right? And for example, here, so a great thing is with Fountain also that you can use anything really to write with. So for example, here I'm going to, this thing is kind of bugging me here, but what do I have here? I have Atom here. Oh, I cannot. Okay, here I've got the Notepad++, for example. Again, the same script from Big Fish. So anyway, I could write here, right? Write whatever I need, you know, and very simple, right? And then also, what I actually prefer to use for writing is the ATEM text editor, which is popular with programmers for programming. But here, you can install this little addition to this that gives you extra functionality to ATEM. And then, for example, it makes it what this thing does. For example, this is my script where you can see you can use different colors, right? So then it becomes even easier to read, right? And characters and scene headings will have different colors. So I also enjoy. I do like ATEM in general, not just for screenwriting, because a few different things. But ease of use and I do like the color on my page. Once I started using writing this way, I really prefer it. Then, for example, writing, you know, something that in final draft. But here is again going back to the Big Fish script, and so again here, just giving you a sample here, so you guys can see kind of how this is written, right? So again, the big thing is it takes very little time or effort in terms of script, in terms of formatting. So when I write, like I don't think much about how to write, because it's just, you know, use the caps lock to create a character name, and then or you know, you start with int or x for a scene heading. And there are ways to, if your scene heading doesn't start with int or x, then you use a period. There's a few special characters I have to remember to use, you know, in these special cases. But for the most part, it's just very simple to write. And the thing is, so anything really, you know, any software, any text editor will allow you to write this. And then the great thing is you can then import it to anything you want, any of the professional screenwriting packages. But there's actually something that wasn't there's another benefit to writing this way that wasn't like obvious to me, and that's when I write like this, it is more difficult to read it, right? So when I'm done and I want to read the script, then, you know, I'll export it to PDF or import it to, for example, final draft, right? Especially if you want other people collaborating on the script. But what I do like is the fact that it's kind of more difficult to read through the script. I do like it because this means that I spend less time reading what I write, which is kind of good. I'm not sure whether it's obvious that it's good or not, but one of the big things that I think that stops people from completing or writing is that being very judgmental of their work. So as you know, for me, I'm not like a natural writer at all, and like I think of about every sentence, and especially like when at the beginning when I sit down to write something, like nothing seems to be sound right. But then as you get into the flow of it, then you oftentimes I end up with something that at least I like, right? But So you know, it's something that I heard from other writers is like you want to minimize how much you judge your works, how much you read. And so I think the benefit, like this hidden benefit of this fountain, is that because it's really good for writing, but it's not as good for reading. I think that basically helps you to avoid, you know, just reading and then going back, you know, going back in your script and saying, oh man, you know, this doesn't look good. It's just like you go basically, you know, it's easier to write the vomit draft. That's another kind of this, you know, strategy of how to get your script done. Just like don't think, just go for it and just get the ideas on the page, right? Because then after that you can build from it. And I think Fountain is perfect for it. It's just, yeah, you're really just putting ideas on the page. You're not worrying about the formatting. It's like so simple. It's just, you know, yeah, it's so simple. And I mean, it's probably just best to try it out. Maybe I'm not sure whether by showing the examples, it does look whether you'll understand or see the difference. But because at first when I saw, you know, an example of a script, it seemed weird to me. Especially it bugged me that the dialogue was not centered. But then he started writing, and it's like, and then I got it. I got Fountain, but only really once I started writing in it. So just, you know, you might guys want to try it out, especially if you want to have like this freedom of you don't have to worry whether you're going to be using Celtics, Final Draft, or whatever. It's just, you know, you are going to be able to really go to any of to jump between those packages. You'll be able to use any really device that you normally use for writing, whether it's online, whether you're offline, whether, you know, the simplest of text editors, Notepad, you can use it to write with Fountain. And then, yeah, it's various, you know, took me maybe, I don't know, it's just, as you know, it took me, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe to kind of look at the rules. And again, most of these rules are very simple. It's just there's a few, you know, special cases. But even like, you know, as you're writing your first script in Fountain and then you're not exactly sure how to handle the situation, you know, then I would just say just write, and you can always go back and see, oh, this is how they want you to maybe do this thing, right? But yeah, I think it's a cool way to write scripts. Cool. It like frees you up as a writer.
Yep. All right, guys. Let's jump. It's almost the end of the show.
Yeah.
So last week I was promising we didn't get to it. So this week we will get to at least one submission, and it's from Nick Thomas. And it's I guess it's his school project. It says it was made for a class in the university to kind of test out camera and lighting. He spent more work on the camera than the lighting. But he would like my, and I guess your opinion too. So maybe you guys can let him know. But also Clint and Lucas, if you guys are watching along, then
sure.
maybe you can also give Nick his your opinion. So
Right,
let me just quickly, just play it here. So here it is. It's called, what is it? Lucifer's Wrath.
So you've arrived.
No. Skip ad.
Got a problem you need help with? Need help getting over a broken heart? Want to quit smoking? Drinking? By integrating Ella with your eye contacts, we can access all the information we need to stimulate your brain, creating real-world scenarios in a virtual setting, guiding you to reach your goals and become the best possible version of yourself. Say yes now to meet your future self.
For God's sake, skip ad.
You'll pay for what you've done. For what I've done, you will do with all. Ah! Ah!
Kill my entire village!
Now it's your turn! I I failed. What's all?
You have no idea.
All right. So, what do I think? So I'm gonna comment just like you're asking, Nick, just purely on the camera work and the lighting. So I think the lighting is it's shot outside, but I think it's either, I don't know whether you did it consciously or not, but you shot outside in like a nice kind of diffused lighting. So for the most part, it worked. There were some shots where it looked like the sun was coming out or something, so it wasn't quite matching with the other ones. I think maybe it could have been handled better with color grading to kind of match those shots. As far as camera work, there were some really good moments. So I like the moment like where he's takes out like the fire and then you see the camera instead of like usually beginner filmmakers will just show let's say the hand and then they'll just pan up to the face, whereas you actually took the time to actually move the camera like on a jib or crane, or maybe it was a gimbal, I don't know, but to kind of actually have physical movement of the camera in 3 axes. So that was really nice. And in some of the other shots like that too, where the camera was actually tracking and moving. So it's nice that you pay attention to those things and you did that. The wide shots for me though, there was an overuse of the wide shots where it was not needed. And I would almost say that that's like a common mistake a lot of beginner filmmakers make when they show a wide shot. And for me, a wide shot is very easily a way to kind of give away that you're working with a lower budget or that you're a beginner, because you don't want to show a wide shot unless there's a really good reason to show it. And then if you're going to have a wide shot, make sure everything in your frame is there for a reason and is showing also what you want to show. So that's why in a way, for a lot of like really low budget indie films, I would say usually stay for like medium or even like tight close-ups. Just concentrate on the actors, on the actors' faces, good acting, all that stuff. And don't really bother showing the location unless you have like a really awesome looking location. But that's it. I would say be careful more on the wide shots, but the close-ups and the fact that you had the tracking camera moves, I really like that. So, Clint, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I like the intro. I think it looked really cool. I was like, oh, wow, this looks nice. But then it's like you said, over time you noticed that maybe the sun came out, the shots didn't match. And I noticed the quality dipped when the woman was presenting on the television. It didn't seem to match the rest of the shots, which seemed to be of a higher quality. Yeah, for the most part, I agree with what you said. This is just my extra 2 cents I added.
Okay, all right. Lucas, I don't know if you want to add anything or if there's any other questions.
Yeah, I don't have nothing new to add to it. So maybe let's move on to the next submission.
No, I don't think because the other submissions are quite long. So, and we're already past 1 hour for today's show. So, if there's any questions, Lucas, anything questions you have for Clint, or you guys, last chance, just quickly let Clint know. Maybe we can, just kind of far away, just a quick answer and questions. But if there's nothing, then I guess let's just finish up. Congratulations again to Joe. What is it? Joe Manning? Was it?
Yes.
Forget now the name. Sorry.
Joe Manning. Yeah.
So on winning the $500, giveaway. So again, Lucas will get in touch with you, and you get to pick a price and all that stuff. For you guys who didn't win this week, you automatically enter for the next 3 weeks. But if you guys, anybody out there who hasn't had a chance to enter yet, make sure you enter, because every week as we're doing the live show, we're going to be picking a winner. And again, you guys can win up to $500, really cool prices from B&H. And that's pretty much it, I guess, Lucas, right?
I think so, yeah. That's it for this week, yeah.
All right, so let's finish it up. Thank you, Clint, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And and again, if you guys want to check out more of Clint's work, or if you want to get in touch with him, you have other questions, follow him on his YouTube channel, and over there you can find all his contact info too. And his YouTube channel link is provided in the description of this video, and that's also where you'll be able to find all of his like those films that I was showing today during the show. Anyways, that's it, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.